Hey everyone, so you're ready to finally commit to a solid workout routine, but you just can't decide between sweating it out at the gym or just keeping things simple at home. Sound familiar?
It's a common dilemma.
That's why today we're doing a deep dive into the pros and cons of each, all based on this awesome article from verywellfit.com we found called Gym versus Home Workouts, Pros and Cons. No more endless scrolling online for you.
We're going to break down the highlights, tie in some cool fitness science, and by the end, you'll be well on your way to figuring out what environment really clicks with you and your fitness goals.
Love it. So let's hit the gym first, shall we? Our article doesn't hold back on the perks. I know you mentioned wanting to try different types of workouts.
Yeah.
And gyms, they've got it all. Cardio machines, free weights, you name it. Even some of that specialized equipment you wouldn't have at home.
Right, and that variety isn't just about staving off boredom. Studies actually show that mixing up your workouts can really help prevent plateaus and keep you motivated. So that whole fitness buffet thing the article talks about, that's actually a pretty smart approach.
That makes a lot of sense. Just walking into that kind of environment, it makes you feel like, I don't know, like an athlete with so many options. Makes you want to try it all at least once.
Yeah.
But the article also gets into the psychology of all those choices. It's interesting because having tons of choices at home can feel overwhelming, but at the gym, it's like energizing.
Yeah, totally. It's the power of context.
Hmm.
And speaking of context, the article also mentions that community vibe at the gym. Now, this one can be tricky
Yeah, I see what you mean.
because for some people, it's huge for motivation, that feeling of shared energy.
Yeah.
But for others, it can be super distracting, especially if you're more of an introvert.
Oh, 100%. It's all about knowing yourself,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that part of the article where they describe those sweaty, earphone-wearing exercisers trying to avoid eye contact, I felt that. Sometimes the gym community is more about personal space than high fives.
For sure. Which actually brings up another point the article highlights. The money. Those gym memberships can put a dent in your wallet.
Ugh, tell me about it. The dreaded C word, cost. Definitely a hurdle for a lot of people.
Right. And while the article mentions that prices can vary a lot, you've got your budget-friendly gyms and then your luxury spots, it's important to keep in mind that often you get what you pay for. That pricier membership might come with perks and services that actually make a difference in your experience and motivation. Like they might have more classes, personal training consultations, or even just more space so it's not as crowded.
That's true. They do mention some nice perks at those high-end gyms.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget about the other costs. Packing your gym bag, the commute. Ugh, remember that hassle factor they talked about in the article?
Yep.
Sometimes I swear, just finding matching socks feels like a workout in itself.
You're preaching to the choir. And that actually brings up a really important point, especially for someone like you who's all about efficiency. Working out at the gym usually means a bigger time commitment overall. There's a travel time, potentially waiting for machines or classes, and even just that social aspect.
Yeah, that's
Whereas at home, you can roll out of bed and straight into your workout gear.
boom. And that brings us to the other side of the coin, home workouts.
Mm.
The article even jokes about working out in your pajamas.
Right.
No commute, no crowds, just you and your fitness goals.
Exactly. And that autonomy and being able to be efficient with your time, well, it really appeals to a lot of people,
Huh.
especially those who really thrive on having that control over their schedule.
Yeah.
And the article points out that home workouts can really easily fit into your day. Like you can squeeze them in whenever you have a few minutes, which is something you can't always do with the gym.
Absolutely. And speaking of fitting things in, let's not forget about all the variety you have at home. I mean, the article touches on this, but it's worth emphasizing. You're not limited to one room or just a few pieces of equipment. One day, you could be doing a HIIT workout with an app.
Mhm.
The next day, you're outside for a run, and the day after that, you're using resistance bands. It's like having that choose-your-own-adventure kind of freedom, but with fitness.
That's a great point. And that actually ties into a really key principle of training effectively muscle, confusion. By constantly switching up your exercises and what you're asking your body to do, you avoid those dreaded plateaus and challenge your muscles in new ways.
Mhm.
And that's something that the home environment makes a lot easier to do because you have that built-in flexibility.
So true. The article even mentions impromptu dance parties as a valid form of exercise. And you know what?
What?
They're right. Anything that gets your body moving and is fun counts.
Absolutely. But just like with any workout environment, the article does point out that home workouts have their downsides too. And one that really stands out, especially for someone like you, is the whole distraction thing.
Oh, don't even get me started. Suddenly, That laundry pile is looking very tempting when it's workout time. The article's funny. They talk about how there are like a million excuses we can come up with to skip a workout at home.
Yeah,
And
and
you know what? They're not wrong.
no, it's true. It's so easy to get sidetracked. And this is where that self-awareness that we keep talking about really comes into play. The article really drives home the point that if you know you tend to get distracted easily at home, it's crucial to address that head on, be proactive.
Totally.
Like maybe you designate a specific workout space in your home or put up a do not disturb sign. You could even turn those distractions into rewards for after you finish your workout.
That is such a good way to reframe it.
Right.
Make those distractions work for you.
And on the topic of challenges, the article also mentions space limitations, which I think a lot of people struggle with. Not everyone has room for a Peloton bike and a whole weight rack in their living room.
No, for sure. Yeah. But what I like is that the article makes it clear that you don't need a full-blown home gym to get a great workout.
You can do so much with bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, even getting creative with stuff around the house.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, the internet is a goldmine for finding creative workout ideas for small spaces.
It's true. You don't need a ton of fancy equipment to get amazing results, especially if you've got the right guidance. So we've talked about the gym with all its energy and options.
Yeah.
And we've talked about the convenience and flexibility of working out at home.
Right.
What would you say is the biggest factor in figuring out which one's right for you?
Well, I think the article really nails it, and it's something we've been circling back to this whole time.
Yeah.
Self-awareness. You've got to know yourself, your personality, your schedule, your budget, and even how easily you get distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all so key to making a choice you can actually stick with.
It's about finding what works for you, not trying to copy someone else's routine.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about more than just the wear. I mean, the article touches on staying hydrated, but what about all those other lifestyle things that can really impact our fitness, no matter where we're working out?
It's like the article opens the door to a much bigger conversation.
Right.
Because we're also talking about things like nutrition, sleep, managing stress, all those pillars of well-being that are so connected to how well we progress on our fitness journey.
Exactly. It's all related, isn't it? You could have the most perfect workout plan in the world,
Right.
but if you're not sleeping enough or eating right,
Exactly.
it's like trying to drive a car with no gas in the tank.
100%. And that's where the real magic happens, when you start thinking about fitness, not just as this thing you do, but as part of a bigger picture of taking care of yourself.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the gym versus home workout debate,
Yeah.
I think a big takeaway is that it doesn't have to be one or the other. Maybe it's about incorporating a bit of both.
Oh, I like that.
Hitting the gym for certain workouts where you really feed off that energy, and then using the convenience of home for others.
That's a great point. At the end of the day, it's about creating a fitness routine that you enjoy,
Yeah.
that you can keep up with, and that fits into your life, not the other way around.
And that might mean switching things up over time.
Exactly.
Because fitness isn't about reaching some finish line. It's more about the journey and figuring out what works best for you as you go.
Well said.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today. But keep exploring, keep moving, and most importantly, stay curious.